First of all, thanks for the introduction. I'm extremely excited to be here today and to tell you about Diagonal Bio. We have come a very long way in a very short period of time. The company was founded in 2020. We listed at Nasdaq's First North Growth Market in 2021, and we are already planning to initiate our commercial activities during this year. Let me start out with a quote from this high-impact journal, Nature, which states that every single time we have an outbreak, we are always one step behind in that we do not have rapid diagnostics to detect this new organism. This has been pretty evident during the COVID-19 crisis. It has been pretty clear that the world needs better diagnostics. And that is actually why I'm standing here today. To tell you about our first product, we call it PanViral. It has the potential to be the fastest, most accurate, easiest to use, universal diagnostic system for mass testing of any pathogen. This is PanViral. It's a small, portable box. It detects genetic material in a simple one-step assay. And let me show you how it works. You have this small box, as you can see behind me, an easy-to-use touchscreen. We have 8 channels. In each of these channels, we can identify specific infectious diseases, or we can scan for individual patients. Inside, we have primers who look for specific targets for these infectious diseases, and then they amplify the target exponentially. We have a sensor dipped into the solution, which can detect this very early and very precisely. In that way, we can detect 8 samples in parallel. This is a small study we did before Christmas on COVID samples. And what you can see here is that we can distinguish positive COVID samples in less than 10 minutes with very high accuracy and sensitivity. PanViral also enables detection of multiple pathogens or multiple infectious diseases at the same time, or multiple patient samples. This makes PanViral unique and unlike any other system on the market today, because we are combining this with the speed, so with detection below 10 minutes, and at the same time we have accuracy in line with the PCR-based technologies today. And as I just explained, we can detect multiple samples at the same time. So instead of having a yes-no answer for a COVID test with PanViral, you could potentially get the answer which type of COVID you have, influenza A and B, or respiratory bacteria. We could also use PanViral for detection of sexually transmitted diseases. So again, you get a more holistic perspective using PanViral. This is, of course, creating a lot of commercial opportunities for us as a company. So what are the problems with the testing technologies on the market today? I'm pretty sure on top of this COVID crisis, you have all tried this with the PCR testing. It's highly accurate, but it takes a long time. The best case I've seen is a couple of hours, but typically it will take a couple of days before you get the results back. Then you can, of course, switch to the quick test. Yes, they're very quick, they're easy to use, they're affordable, but they're not very reliable. The reason that many of these diagnostic tests are taking a long time is that they're normally performed at external laboratories. This means long response times, delay in treatment, worst case the patient can die, or you've had prolonged recovery, and of course also spread on infection. This is actually highlighted in a study here that was done from what's called Harvard and Ohio University that did this study last year. It's based on COVID. I simplified it a bit to make this very clear. So in the bottom here you see if you do no testing at all, you will have 100% spread into this group. That's pretty clear. If you then increase the testing, so you test every 3 days, what you can see is that even if you test every 3 days, if it takes more than 2 hours until you get the result, you can have up to 45% spread of infections into the group. If you, however, are able to test where you get the results in real time, or basically instantaneously when you're sitting at the test facility, then you can limit the spread of infections to almost zero. And that's exactly what we can offer with PanViral. PanViral can help speed up the diagnostic process directly near the patients without compromising accuracy and sensitivity. This means correct diagnosis with high accuracy very quickly. Means you can treat earlier. And isolate the patient much quicker. So which niches do we see fit for PanViral? There's many different options because it's a universal detection system. What we can imagine here is that we can use PanViral for tailored regional specific panels. So that means, for example, when we get to the fall, we could have a respiratory panel where we have different types of COVID, influenza A and B, and respiratory bacteria. It could also be that you want to travel somewhere exotic, and then when you get back home, you could be tested for all of these types of bugs in one and the same go within these 10 to 15 minutes. It could also be used for young people for sexually transmitted diseases. You can get tested for all of these and get the results in 10 to 15 minutes instead of waiting days or weeks for the result. We'll also use PanViral for monitoring of infectious disease outbreaks. Because of the very high sensitivity of PanViral, you can detect infectious diseases even before you have an outbreak. Governments could use this system to monitor what's happening in the population. You could also imagine PanViral be standing at the airport before you board a plane to the US, or before big sporting events. There are many different options here. The last one that I want to mention here is disease and treatment monitoring directly at the hospitals. Because of the real-time capabilities of PanViral, we'll be able to validate treatment directly near the patient. So how do we plan to go to market? We plan to use the razor blade model. So we will have PanViral, which is this neat little box. It's a universal system. Together with that, you need a consumables. That's what you see here in the middle, the green part. It has 8 channels and a sensor, but it's a one-time use only. And together with that, you need to have buffers specific for each individual infectious disease that you want to test for. Those two will be the main driver of the revenue. And because PanViral is universal, we can have a differentiated pricing strategy depending on which disease that we are targeting. This is really interesting. So how do we plan to move quickly to market with PanViral? There are many different routes. The first one that we are working hard on right now is to get the first research use only device to market. In parallel, we will initiate communication with FDA in order to go into the US market under what's called an EUA, Emergency Use Application or approval. Because PanViral can test a lot of the most deadly diseases in the world, we can have easy access to that market. We will, of course, also look into other options. It could be Middle East or Far East. And of course, at the same time, we will continue to build our technical file to make sure we fulfill the requirements for CE marking under IVDR. But the key at the moment, as I said, would be to get PanViral on the table, basically. This will mean that we can initiate our commercial activities. We can start collaborations with key opinion leaders and infectious disease clinics, and start to generate scientific data that can be used in the technical filing. Of course, all of this is only possible because we have a very strong and professional team. And as the closing statement here, I want to say that our vision is to limit the spread of infectious disease worldwide by creating an easy-to-use, cost-efficient, quick, and highly accurate universal diagnostic platform. It's been a really exciting journey, And I would really appreciate if you would also join us for the rest of this journey moving forward. Thank you. And then I'm open for questions.
Har ni någon gång provat att tända en tändsticka som ni redan har tänt med någon gång? Det är väldigt svårt, så att en liten extra applåd till dig, Jack, som börjar och sen får börja om.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's start off with a question from the audience. What is your price strategy?
Our price strategy, it will depend on the individual segments that we plan to go into. Again, if we are saving life directly at the emergency clinics, for example, we would be able to take a higher price. If you go for mass market where there's a lot of competition, it would be a lower price but higher volume. So with PanViral, we have this luxury that we can actually decide where we want to be, because we can essentially test anything. It's a universal platform.
And how easy to use is this machine? Could I learn how to use it?
Absolutely.
Now you have very, very high faith in me, I can hear.
No, but it is a very easy to use system. I didn't take any pictures of how it will look, but it's going to be like a touch screen, and it's going to be basically anybody can use it.
How close are you to commercialization? You are quite a new company.
That's what I'm saying. So it's, I mean, we are quite excited about this journey, because already this year we are planning to initiate our commercial activities.
That's fast.
It's extremely fast. I mean, I don't know if we can talk about world record, but it's getting close, I think, right? So we have been working really, really hard, and really look forward to having the first batch of PanViral standing in front of us.
What is the key position for you in the market where there is no pandemic? Is PanViral competitive in normal kind of conditions?
Absolutely. So I know that a lot of the data we have generated has been with, you can say, using COVID as a model organism, but or virus. But you have to imagine that the way that PanViral works is it detects genetic material, and that means it can be any type of virus. The system doesn't really care. As I said, it could be sexually transmitted diseases, it could be Ebola, it could be whatever. So in that sense, we have many options with PanViral.
How does the competition look? Is there any other machines that can run 8 tests at the same time?
I think you can say the market value of infectious disease testing is valued at currently around $34 billion. And I think on top of this COVID crisis, you could probably add some additional numbers to that. So of course there will be a lot of competition. Our technology is protected, so we have a patent with a priority date of March 2020. So in that sense, you can say we are basically covered. Currently, there are no other system out there that combines all the 3 different features that I just talked about here. So we still have the speed, we have the accuracy, and we have the possibility to test it for multiple samples at the same time.
What will the actual machine cost for the customers, do you think?
It will be, you can say, it's not going to be the main driver of the revenue. That much I can't disclose right now. I can also say because PanViral and the technology is very simple, so the hardware that goes into the machine is also very simple. We don't need that much hardware. So the machine will actually be, you can say, very cost efficient. And we can also say that many of these PCR-based technology, they used, for example, primers with fluorescent tags or something like that, which you can say, one thing is that they cost extra money, but they're also not that nice for the environment. Here we also have an advantage with PanViral. We don't need that. So we have a more simple system to build it, basically. Less hardware, less cost, easier to use, and better for the environment.
What does your strategy look like for entering different markets? What markets do you prioritize?
As I said, right now we have, you can say, the sole priority of everybody in the company is to get the first batch production out of PanViral under this research use only, so we can initiate our commercial activities. Then we are looking into initiating this dialogue with FDA, because PanViral can test a lot of these very deadly diseases. So FDA actually has a list for these, it's called under the EUA. And if you can test under some of these super deadly bugs, then you have a fairly easy access into the US. And then of course there's these other markets like Middle East and some other markets where you can say fairly easy access as well. We are looking into all of these different options.
How complex is the process of developing a new buffer for a specific pathogen?
It's actually extremely easy. So if you want to modify the system to test for a new bug or new infectious disease, that could technically be done in a couple of days. The only thing we need to change is the primers in the solution. And I know it gets a little bit technical, but it's small pieces of DNA that finds a specific target within the pathogen. And these are very easy to generate.
What are the greatest benefits of Panviral?
That would be, as I said, that we can combine all of these different things. So today, looking into the infectious disease testing market, it's dominated by the quick tests, but they're unreliable. So you need to go to the PCR-based tests, which are accurate, but then they're slow. We actually combine the best from both worlds, plus having this where we get a holistic picture because we can test for multiple samples in one and the same analytical run.
You mentioned that it can be beneficial with collaborating with key opinion leaders. What kind of collaborations would you be interested in?
We are already having very good contact to infectious disease clinics in Lund, for example, but we will of course also look into other regions. Having somebody who can endorse the system, so you don't have to just listen to me, but having somebody external who can actually do some of the testing and can support whatever I'm saying here today will be extremely important, of course.
Thank you very much, Jack Egelund Madsen.
Thank you.